Good morning, thank you for joining me again for another episode with Bit Repairs. My name's Wayne, and today it's something a bit different actually. We're not going to be looking at an iPhone, as you can see from the title of the video. Someone sent me in a car key to have a look at. Now these keys are actually quite expensive, so they're much easier to repair the components than it is to replace the actual key, especially when there's bits like buttons missing. So they're easy enough to replace. Show you how to do it, and we'll make a quick video. It's only going to be a short one, unfortunately, because I've got lots to do today, as usual. So we're going to put one of these buttons in for this missing one in the middle. So we've got a pack of buttons here that we use, and then we've got this battery that we've got here, which just arrived over the weekend, so we can get this fitted in as well. And that'll be it. We'll have a happy customer. So what we do first is, before we do this button, we'll remove the old battery here. So we'll get rid of the old battery, then we'll put the button in, and then we'll put the new battery back on again. So to get this old battery off, it's actually soldered in two areas. I'm really not quite sure why they'd solder a battery in. Seems pretty poor design to me, to be honest. I know they're looking for resilience, but there's far better ways than like spot welding a battery into place and then soldering it in. It's completely irreplaceable for the user. So what we do first, let me just put this back in the jig again. We're just going to loosen this battery off. So to do that, we need to get rid of the solder that's on these points now and replace it with leaded. So we'll go under the microscope first. Now, you don't really need the microscope for this, to be honest. These components are that big that you can see them blatantly well. So you can see where someone's had a go there. Either they've smushed it up by trying to remove it themselves and do it themselves, or it happened whilst the key was in use, and they've just they've just smushed it into it, and it's damaged the components a little bit. So what we're going to do, we'll just add a tiny bit of flux here to this terminal, and then we're going to use a nice big iron. That's a bit overkill, that one. We'll use a nice semi-big iron, and then what we're going to do, we're just going to get rid of this little bit of solder here. Oh, we've got a nice big blob on the end of that tip. So try that one again, shall we? We're just going to come in straight here, and then see, it's wobbled straight away, so we know it had solder all over it. And then same again on this one. We're just going to stick a load on there, and that actually just bent, that one did. So we've done that bit. We could probably, if we really wanted to, we could just get this straight out by just pulling it out. So if we were to put enough pressure on it, it would probably just come out immediately. In fact, the way that bent, it looks like it's not physically attached at that point. Let me just go back on here. We'll have a little look. We'll try and lift this up here, and let's see if this battery is still actually attached, or whether it's broken at some point. So yeah, it is still physically attached. So what we can do, we can just put a little bit of force behind the battery, some tweezers or something, put a little bit of force, and then, sorry, I'll try and stay in camera view. So I'm just going to put a bit of force behind it, use the soldering tip, and I'm just going to go like this. That's it. So we're just prying it away slowly. I'm not sure that's attached, you know. No, it has. It's snapped off underneath. You can see where it's snapped off underneath. No wonder that one was just bendying around as I was trying to move it. So same again. I don't know if I can zoom in anymore. You can probably see that fine as it is anyway. So all I'm going to do now, just put some solder on, put some heat on this one, and try and just push it away. So I'm just going to push it down, push it down. Okay, and that should just start moving then, that battery. So looks like it's just clipped into this carriage here. It's quite well clipped in, to be honest, by the looks of things. We'll see if we can get it on the move now. It's pretty sturdy actually, that carriage. It's because it's clipped in at both ends here. See at the ends there. So if we just put our tool down the side, there we go, clipped it out there at one side. That'll just clip out at the other side now as well. It's much easier this actually because it's broken on one terminal. That'll just slip out now, that one. So that's the battery out. There we go. That's the battery out of the device. So what you don't want to forget on these when you're putting them in is the polarity. So make sure you're going to put this battery back in the right place. In theory, this bay here, this holder, should stop you from putting it in the wrong way, I believe, because it physically won't fit the wrong way round. So if we have a look at this now, putting this in that way, it'll slot nicely into them two terminals here. There we go. So it'll slot nicely into that there. Yeah. But if we put it in the other way round, we're not going to get our alignment. Plus the clips don't actually work the other way around. So we're pretty safe on this one actually. I don't think we're going to get this in the wrong way. So that's our holder out, our battery holder. That can go to one side. Now what we need to do, we need to get rid of the solder out of these holes here. So the best way to do that, I find, is with wick. And then at the same time, we're going to tidy up these pads here where the switch goes, and then we'll put a new switch on. So let's come back over to the microscope again, because it's easier for you to see if we're under the microscope. For me, it doesn't hugely matter because, well, it's mahoosive, this is. You could almost see this from space. It's that big in comparison to iPhones. So, you know, it's pretty straightforward stuff. Be good practice actually if you were going to be getting into micro soldering. You know, a little bit of basic soldering is always a good thing. So practice a little bit on little things like this. If you get these projects in, you know, just try and see if you can do it. They're so simple. It's such an I say it's an easy thing. It's purely because of what I do. It's an easy thing. So obviously, being as I work on tiny things all day, every day of the week, for me, just wicking off a little bit of stuff here and doing a simple board like this, it's pretty much child's play, but it's not for everyone. So I've just pulled out that pin there. You can see the one that was loose inside. You can probably see it attached there. So I'm just going to snip that bit off now. So a little bit more there. Now we can't see through the hole. You want to be able to see through these holes by the time you're finished wicking. So we'll wick a little bit more. I'll turn the board over. I want to make sure that the hole is thoroughly wicked all the way through. So I get it sometimes on these where the hole isn't wicked all the way through. You go to put the new component in and it's a dismal failure. So you want to make sure you've wicked that hole all the way through. So now we've got this bit here, which is the mess that was created when the previous button failed. So all I'm going to do now, I'm going to put a bit of flux on there. Okay, got no battery connected now, so nothing can short. We don't need to worry about that. Then we're just going to get our soldering iron, and all we're going to do with this now is we're just going to tin these pads. So we're just going to tin that one, tin that one, tin that one, and tin that one. We want a nice glob of solder on each one. That's it. Right, so that's that done. It's a nice little glob of solder on each one there. Okay, so all we're going to do now, I noticed there's actually a component missing there. Looks like it was probably loose on the board. We could definitely do with finding out what that component is. because that will likely be a necessary component. Pretty much everything on these are necessary components. So we'll try and hunt down what that component is and get that put back on. But let's get the rest of it done for now. So all we've got to do, we're just going to put a button on first. So let us just get one of these buttons. These are basic automotive buttons, to be honest. So we're just going to grab one of these out of the packaging. Bit of a nightmare to get out of these continuous roll. There we go. That's that one out. So they're pretty generic, these. You don't have to go and buy specific buttons most of the time. It's very strange how most of the industry seems to use the same buttons. So go back over to the other camera, and all we're going to do now, so this button here just goes into place. It really doesn't matter which way round it goes. So we're just going to put that into place there. Now, you just need a fine soldering tip, really. You can get away with quite a sizable tip, really. It doesn't have to be tiny, because these buttons are quite big. But the smaller the better. I could use my soldering tweezers on this, really. That would make my life much easier. However, I'm trying to show you how to do it, and pretty much having soldering tweezers is a bit of a rarity, so we're just going to melt each pin down ever so slowly. There we go. See how that just dropped into place? Same again on the other side. So we're just going to go to the other side now. Going to do these pins, and then we're just going to put some slight downward pressure for it to just plop down into place. See there, it dropped down slightly. Each time you melt it, it just plops down slowly on each side. And then again on this side, just to make sure we got good connection here now. And there we go. So we have got this little area here that should have a component on it, I'm fairly sure, because it looks like one has been pulled off. So a little bit of a mystery as to what that was. If it was a capacitor, absolutely fine. You know, we got no problem at all there if it was a capacitor. I don't believe it was, but I couldn't be 100% sure. I will have to find out and see if I can get a small schematic for this. So that's the button done. Now for the battery. So you can see how simple this has been, really. Put the battery into the cage like this. Bing bang, push it down. Make sure you're not bending the pin, the pin, sorry, in any way. You can damage it quite easily if you bend these pins out of way. So that's that bit done. Battery's into its holder. So let me just get the board, and then we're going to put this. Only fits in one way because they've actually quite nicely made these holes bigger. So one hole's bigger than the other, if you notice. So you look at that there. This hole's the big hole. This hole's the small hole. So the battery will only go in one way. The carrier will only go in one way. So if you manage to get this wrong and put it in the wrong way, damn, you're good. Because I really don't see any way of putting this in the wrong way. So that's into the carrier. All we're going to do now is just dab some solder onto those 2 points. I'll show you how we do it on here. So there's the first one. Notice all of this flux around the board. We do clean this off before the end. No point doing it now because we're about to get a bit more on. So quick as you can with these now. You don't want to be thermally shocking the battery. So as quick as you can do these, the better. So let's just go straight in, bang, done. Right, next one. Kind of try and get in as quick as you can. Get the solder on, get it in and out. So get some heat and lots of solder. Not quite enough solder there. I don't think anyway. There we go. We're good there now on the solder. Got plenty on it. You can see it's starting to make a little bit of a bump. Right, so now what we're going to do, we're just going to get our Isopropyl IPA, give this board a bit of a wash. Not too much because we didn't really use that much flux anyway. So it's just enough to clean around these components, make sure they're not going to start corroding with flux. They shouldn't anyway, because the flux I use is basically no clean flux, so you don't have to clean it off the board. But I find that you do get impurities still that can cause shorts if you leave it on. Not very often, but if you get an impurity into your flux and you leave it on the board and it shorts out, then yes, you can be in for a whole world of problems. So we do clean it all off, make sure it's all gone. There we go. As long as the actual flux isn't shorting components out, that's okay. And to be honest, the amount of times that it's actually going to be putting current through this, it's quite rare anyway. So that's the actual job that we intended on doing is now done. I just want to see now if that component that was around there, let's have a little look. We'll try and have a quick peek over here and see if any of these components are likely to be. It's to see if it was either a cap or if it was a resistor. So let's just have a little peek now. I'm going to go in on these here, going on to one of these. So we know that they're resistors, obviously. It's very difficult on these because it's very difficult to find a ground plane. But if we look at that big one was positive, so that would make this one the kind of ground plane for it, I think, if I remember right. So let's just have a little peek. Right, one side on there. So we're not getting any kind of a short on that one. We're not getting connectivity to there. So I believe that is a necessary component. So we'll have to try and figure out that one is before we send it back to the customer. Let them know obviously that needs to be replaced, and we'll get that done really. But in reality, that's usually all you'd normally have to do. We'll just have a little look around, see if it's fallen off. Sometimes they just fall off. If they've been damaged already, you know, while the key was in the housing, because it's next to the old button, so there's a good chance that as that old button has had a problem, it may have fallen off because of it. So you never know. Chances are it could be around here somewhere. Not seeing it, but anyway, that's really all I wanted to show you today. It's up to me now to find this other component that's missing off here. But we've got our buttons 1, 2, 3. And then we've got I'll show you, the battery is now nicely into place. So once I've got that component on, we're pretty much ready to give that back to the customer. So that's been great. Thanks very much for watching. Sorry it's such a short video. I've got lots to do today, and I just wanted to give you a quick kind of taster. So yeah, it's been good. Please like, subscribe, give it that thumbs up. Yeah, really appreciate it. Take care, and I'll see you again soon.